Welcome to the SMITE Tactics Dev Q&A stream. If you can't hear me, let me know. We're trying to make sure this mic's all good. We kind of got to zoom in. Adonis here. I'm the community manager for SMITE Tactics, joined by the lead designer, Scott Gandhi, Scott Lucier, as you all know. Just to give an overview of this, we tweeted this out yesterday. We obviously just came out with a big gameplay patch, and we kind of wanted to answer some of the questions or any questions you guys at home had, and maybe give you some insight into the plans for tactics in the future, because we are still in closed beta.
Yep.
I mean, we just released the game to the wild in early January,
January 5th.
when Founders Pack went live for HRX. There's been a ton of development to get it to that point, and on a lot since then.
Yep.
And we're really excited, I think, for the future of this game once we hit open beta and then continuing forward.
Yeah, for sure. I think the big thing for us with the dev Q&As, and it's hopefully this is picking me up decently.
Here, we'll move this in.
Just block you.
Yeah, whatever. Let us know if this is any better or worse.
It's so low.
I'll have Ray come in here and yell at us in a little bit.
He's okay.
I think you just gotta zoom.
Audio too low.
Do I have to be like this?
I maxed it out, so we'll see.
Yell at us. Okay.
All right, just as it is now, let us know if this is better.
I blame Peckies for
all right,
all
it
of
says
this.
they're saying better now. My face is a little bit blocked, but
They need your face.
there you go.
They need your face, buddy.
They got my face.
They said slightly better. Okay. All right. So anywho, I think the big thing for us when it comes, Peckies,
You good?
fix this.
Go to a splash screen really quick. All right, we got to go to a splash screen. I think we're good. They said definitely better.
This guy said swallow the mic. That's probably not healthy. No, we're phrasing.
Welcome to High Res Studios, guys. We figured this out. We're in closed beta, so we have a closed beta dev Q&A. This is how this is gonna work.
How fitting.
It seems like we're good now. Shouldn't be. Yeah, they stopped. So I think we're set, guys. If that's not the case, let us know. Peckies will go back and check. And if we are having issues, Peckies will come back.
Oh, it's
and
the
fix
Chinese map behind me.
Yeah, and yeah, so we just released this Chinese map, which are sick. My favorite maps by far. We also have the Chinese night one, which will enable there. You can see that in the background. And then
we don't look good enough on that one.
No, and then my favorite one is, of course, Scott Lucier. You know, good old MLG days. That was our test screen. All right.
Oh, Jesus.
Do you want to do night or day?
Night's fine. It's fine.
Night's fine. Okay.
Okay. So here's kind of the big thing as to what we're doing with this Q&A. So obviously we just basically changed what 40% of our game.
A lot.
You could argue that we changed around 50% of our entire game. So really what we wanted to do is we wanted to provide insight from you guys from a design side as well as just studio wide as well, and just kind of address all of your questions and give you a look ahead to a bunch of various different things.
So we pulled some questions from Twitter and some of the people on Discord, so we're going to go through some of those. After that, we're going to read questions from chat, so make sure to pay attention. Try not to repeat some of the questions, and Scott's going to be able to answer all the fun stuff for you. So first one is from Cookiesich, who's an active member of our community right now. All right, I'm just going to talk into the mic whenever I talk, and we'll figure it out from there. First question was from Cookiesich, and he's an active member in the Discord, high-level player. Helps us a lot with reporting bugs. He just wants to know if tower structures are still a thing for the future. If, then in what way?
Towers, yes. So towers are a thing that will be coming inside of SMITE Tactics. Now, how it's going to work exactly is that, so yeah, every tower is going to have its own kind of identity. So one of the ones that we have is going to be actually coming out with the Roman Pantheon. And what this tower is going to do, what, man?
He's talking in the mic.
I'm talking into the mic. So what this tower is going to do is that you can't give it attack and you can't give it movement. Right now, the idea is that when you place the tower, it's going to have a range, a standard range, which is 4 tiles, and it's going to hit anything inside of that area. Now, each different tower is going to do something differently. And so the first one will be like that. We're messing around with other ideas where when you play a tower, you can actually choose a location for it to attack, and it'll always attack that specific area at the end of every round.
And so there's a lot of possibilities here with towers. Now, is this going to be centered to one Pantheon, or are we looking at neutral cards, or kind of a mix? What's the general idea, or is that still too far?
I don't think it's too far in the future, but I think, you know, the first Pantheon we're looking at doing it for is Roman. And then from there, we'll probably backfill the rest.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, Roman is the next Pantheon. You've spoiled it enough times for that.
Yeah.
What are the plans for ranked in the future? That was asked by Sinbreed, another high-level player. Baconator, for those who play. Yeah, we're trying to figure this out. I blame Pecky's. No, it's not that one. It's the one that's green, you know.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Levels.
Yeah, bump that up to 100.
100? That's going to blow people's ears.
We were at 76. I mean, I already maxed it out on
I'll
OBS.
try 88.
All right,
We'll
we'll
try
try this.
88.
Just talking to the mic closely.
Well, I can see it's already getting better, so I think.
Ish.
Maybe. Who knows? Okay.
So ranked.
Ranked. So yeah, right now our ranked right now is the traditional MMR system with a modified true skill algorithm that we currently use. In the future, we are going to be looking to change that completely.
So ranked right now is just first.
Right now,
pass.
yes.
We have a ranked. We have ranked, and that was
Yes.
kind of the idea. So future changes. Do you have any insight, or is that just hold off for the future?
A lot of it's going to be kind of holding off into the future. I think one of my own personal goals has always been to recreate the Halo 2 1-50 system. I would love to have some sort of a ladder climb, something to that extent. We're still in the brainstorming phase for it. We're looking at maybe more towards, closed beta 8 or 9 that we're able to do something along those lines. But we're really just trying to flesh out the system right now.
Okay. Up next, we have Megamus 252. How long did it take to get tactics to where it is? I've always been interested in game creation. And this was actually a very fast process for game development to get it where it's at.
Yeah, so I guess there's a couple of different points here for us. I think the first one is it started off as a paper prototype, and this was the first game that we were actually able to do as a paper prototype. And that started all the way back in 2015. Now, as you fast forward, when you start talk about actual development inside with like a programmer and everything, we started at, I think the first check-in we ever did was February of 2016, and that was on Unreal 3. After Unreal 3 happened in July, we made a pivot into Unreal 4. Then once Unreal 4 hit, we basically took everything that was in Unreal 3, brought it into Unreal 4, and then accelerated the process, increased the size of the team from 4 to 12. And then we pushed the game out on November 17th.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, November 17th.
So that is a very fast process, and remaking everything in UE4 from UE3 is not as easy as you would think it is. Everything has to be looked over and redone, and a lot of stuff breaks. So there was a lot of effort into that. Jordan MG asked, when are more neutral minions coming? How about some minions that are attack stated oriented? And you had a discussion with him on Twitter, actually.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Jordan, a lot, by the way, buddy. Anyone who, same with Sinbreed. You guys both have given me a lot of good feedback, and I see DeLuca in here as well, the homie, and Chrono, actually. These are all names I know, actually. I appreciate everyone who actually sends me Twitter feedback. I'm probably the most responsive on Twitter. I don't really check Reddit all that much, or SMITE Tactics, that's forums, that's his job. He's supposed to let me know all that, but Twitter's kind of your direct feed line to me. So anyways, so neutral minions. So this is kind of... This is kind of going to be a little bit of a longer answer. So, one, right now in SMITE Tactics, we have a very unique situation because all of our leaders can always attack, right? And we have ranged leaders. So, as soon as you factor that in, there's a lot of times where you actually can't get away with low health units with high attack values. Take Fanway, for example, right? Fanway is a 4-2, 4-drop ranged, right? And now, a lot of people have a hard time justifying them inside of his deck. Inside of their decks, which I understand because you have Sunder that can kill it. You have a lot of things that can trade out with it. So really what we're looking to do right now is, since we're always adding more cards every single patch and it's going to stay that way throughout the closed beta, we're trying to make sure that everything that we're giving you guys is something that can go inside of your deck. And so when you're talking about neutral minions coming in the future patches, in our next patch we have neutral minions. We have a couple of different ones. We have a 2-drop, a 3-drop, and a 5-drop. And the 3-drop is actually going to be overstated. It's going to be our first minion that we've done without a passive. Now, technically, that's not true if you take into consideration Cursed Warriors or Cursed Hunters.
But they're items now.
Yeah, but that's an item. So this is going to be a 3-mana, 3/4 that is going to be able to trade up. And if you guys play SMITE Tactics at a competitive level, or if you've never played at all, really, there's a massive difference between 3 health and 4 health.
A lot.
And so by putting this on the 3-drop body, you're going to actually be able to see how well you're able to trade effectively with your opposition.
And a lot of that comes down to being A lot of that comes down to being still early in development.
Yes.
A lot of the stuff you want to do, which will kind of balance stuff out, isn't in place yet.
Yeah.
A little bit, and I know that's we can actually
It's true.
We'll hit one of the questions later
we-
about
we-
the Loki OTK. Actually, let's do
Yeah,
that now.
we can do that.
So I believe it was Kenny who brought it up. Any plans to address
I beat-
Loki one-turn kill?
Kenny, I beat you this morning at 8 o'clock in the morning. Get bodied. You tried that guard nonsense on me with Greek, and my Chinese deck destroyed you.
So Loki OTK though. The real question, not you trying to live in the Halo heydays about being better than other people again. We kind of discussed this a little bit, and a lot of it is there's counters in place that I know you want that just aren't there yet.
Yeah. So I think when we made these massive changes, we knew that balance was going to come in and kind of be. It's going to be slower, and there was also going to be some fluctuation inside of that because as players, you guys are going to abuse and break things so much more efficiently than all of us.
We don't even have the number of players to be able to practice all the
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you guys are always going to find the break cases. Now, with that said, I don't think Loki one-turn kill is actually a break case. I want to go on the record to say that. I think right now there is a lot of bursts on there, and there's a couple reasons that are exacerbating this. Number one, which is one of the main issues that we are going to be addressing inside of the next patch, is the deck size.
Yes.
Right now, to really back you up so you guys know, the reason we went with a 20-card deck size was because of the small number of cards that we had at the very, very beginning inside of the closed alpha. But two was we kind of wanted to make the process a little bit easier for people since in-game they had to make more decision-making and they had to get used to something new with abilities. Now, since we took that out, we have a little bit more leeway to say, okay, you know what, the emphasis is on the deck building, and also deck building just feels better with these kind of mechanics that we've had inside of there. So we're increasing the deck size to 25. Now, that's going to be huge because now when you're trying to aggressively mulligan to get your Web of Weirds and your Hasten Fatalis, you're not going to get it as often. You're not going to get it out of like 1 in every 5 games. It's going to be way more than that. Now, the other things we're kind of looking at here, and this is something that we were just talking about, but I've been kind of on the fence with it, is looking at the Discover mechanic. So the Discover mechanic, in reality, this is a mechanic that should actually cost very little, right? Because it's a random chance. You can get pulls from all these other different sources. You have a chance to really just kind of get screwed out. And that's how it's supposed to be. And there's supposed to be a high upside and a downside. Right now, though, with Web of Weird specifically, is that, we only have...
6.
6? Is it 6?
Yeah, I think
6 or
it's
7.
6.
We only have 6 or 7 Norse gods. So you're able to draw Loki 1 in every 2 or 3 times that you play the card, which is pretty nuts. So one of the things we're looking at is making an adjustment to Discover. Now, how we want to do that, I'm not exactly sure. I'm not happy where it's at right now. I can go on the record to say that with Web of Weird. I think that was kind of just a decision that we made to kind of counter the OTK Loki deck, so you had at least another round to respond with it. But we're going to be looking to make adjustments of that in the future.
And just kind of talking about it because this is the first time we've done deck size increase. We're now at 25. Is this a possibility to further increase, or let's stick at 25 and let's feel it out and feel how the game plays at that number?
I think that's a really good question, and I think 25 is going to be so much different, right?
A lot.
Because
it's 20% more.
Cards. Yeah, it's 20% more cards. But when you look at Smite Tactics, we have with 20 cards, we had a lot of different issues than various other TCGs that are out there, right? Like, draw card mechanics are bonkers. They are nuts. Whenever you put something in there like Emperor's Prize, right? Something that can draw that many cards, or Argus, for example, who you always are drawing cards when you're playing units inside of there. Now, yes, there's a downside that
also,
it's only gods.
In the same vein, Sentry Ward was incredibly powerful because
Sentry Ward was really strong.
Card, now they have, that's a huge hit to their deck, especially if you grab one of their important ones.
And like the only time I ever saw draw cards actually in any of my games or ranked games was really on like control raw decks, and that was it. So now you're going to actually see a lot of draw card mechanics inside of the game. So I think 25, we're going to sit it there for a while.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Moving on to the questions that were planned. Due from Basilisk Power, and this is a question that actually a lot of people asked about, and I know we've kind of made statements about it before. Do you plan on making the game playable on other platforms such as PS4, Xbox, Switch, or even Android and iOS? Any updates for that at all, or... What's the word so far, Scott?
So right now we're still focusing on PC. But we have started a little bit of console work inside of there. The goal has always been for me is to get SMITE Tactics out on console, and then we'll look to mobile. It's always been that way for me. I've always wanted to be able to play a turn-based strategy game on my couch on all the major systems right now. So that's where we're at.
Awesome. Then from there, we have a question from Quentin with a lot of numbers. Will there be Easter eggs to other games in SMITE Tactics? I don't know if he means Easter eggs inside SMITE Tactics or Easter eggs inside like SMITE or Paladin's other high-res titles, but
I don't know. TBD.
I think we should.
We should.
We should investigate. That's like not an immediate thing, but that's interesting, and I would like it.
That's one of those things where when you have the time to come out from under the hood and you're like, oh yeah, we should totally do that. Yeah, we should totally do that. So maybe.
Yeah,
nothing planned.
A lot of core stuff being worked on right now, and that's going to be the primary focus for the developers as we push development and closed beta. But something to look forward to, possibly in the future. Yep. Are there any plans for a VGS system or probably any communication system instead of chat or chat?
So right now, the current plan is that we will be doing emotes, and these will be only used for the leaders. And they will have a couple different options. Right now, we're kind of messing around between 6 and 9 options. So what will happen is you'll click an emote button that's on the UI, and then you'll get the options, and then your leader will say something. You will obviously be able to mute them as well. But every single leader will have their different voice lines because, obviously we have those voice packs inside of SMITE. Already. This is how these characters are, and they come to life. So those will be coming. I don't know exactly when the date is, because we just changed our entire game and we had to throw, because I mean, the leader ability still is in a very temp spot, right? Like we still got to work that into the bottom bars. So it's down the road.
Okay. And that's actually brings up an important point. Last patch took, 3 weeks, something around there. So it was a pretty long time between the patch before that, CB2, CB3. We are going back on the 2-week patch cycle. The reason the last one took so long, even though we were ready to push it out, was we had those major gameplay changes.
Correct.
Any plans for a mobile app? That's kind of like the Easter eggs, like a TBD. Like, no immediate plans.
Yeah. I think it would be pretty sweet to be able to access your inventory. Well, this is actually, now that I think about it out loud, it's actually probably a really
live
good
development, guys.
It actually would be relatively cool to have an app that allowed me to adjust my decks on the fly.
Or live, or just like look up cards and stuff.
Yeah, just to look up cards, because there's so many times where we're in a design meeting and we're going through balance, and Adonis is telling me what you guys want adjusted, and it's just just a banner of Loki, and I'm like, well, what about these other cards? And then instead of having to remember all of the cards, which I actually do, I could just look it up on my phone. So yeah, I think it's a good idea, but there's no plans of it. But I'll write something up for you.
Speaking of that, from Chrono, again, what plans are there for skins? There's a lot of questions that are not the easiest for you to answer.
Yeah, skins is, man, you should have cut this question out.
All right, we're cutting this question.
No. There's been a lot of different ideas that we've thrown around with skins, and I think the one we always come back to, which I think everyone at home feels the best on, and everyone on the development side feels the best on, is treating skins like foil cards. Now, I have no idea how or when this is going to be, but I think that's how you could expect it. But I honestly have no idea. There's really just comes down an issue of thematically, you can't treat them as a different unit. You can't treat them as a different unit.
It's too confusing.
And plus, if you imagined you have a Neath on board and then you have a Bucket Neath in your deck, can you play the Bucket Neath out there? Does it respect the rules of the god? No, it doesn't. So then you're just playing the Bucket Neath, and then you have 4 of these cards. It just can get really ugly. So the tentative plan is foil cards, and there's actually no plan. The tentative
idea, the thought process is foil cards, but nothing in the immediate future. Correct. It is on the radar, though. Oh God, on the radar. Let's not use that in tactics. People are gonna hate us.
No, we're not doing it.
Kenny, okay, we already talked about the Loki OTK. Grimsy, will there be any in-game rewards for SMITE while playing SMITE Tactics?
Currently, there's not, no. I think you can probably expect to see some more tie-ins between SMITE and SMITE Tactics, right? I mean, we are, at the end of the day, we are in the universe of SMITE. right? We're just Smite reimagined as a turn-based strategy game. So, yeah, I think you can expect more crossover play. What it is, we don't know yet, or, well, really, we do know, but we probably won't reveal it right now. But, yeah, you can expect more tie-ins.
From Kenny again, more health to leader so burst cards are less effective and more cards to deck to have more. So we're adding cards to the deck, but leader health. Are you happy, content with it at 20? Is this something you're, just kind of reviewing, or is this, you plan to change it?
So leader health is something that we've always kind of had a very, very strong eye on. Very early on in development, we were messing around with higher very early on inside of Unreal 3 development. Actually, we were messing around with 30 health, and the games took a very, very, very long time. And no one was really happy with it. Obviously, we didn't have all the systems that we have now. Yeah. So I don't know if it's an actual A to A connection there. So we can throw that out. It's a moot point. But really right now, you have to realize that for me, I like the fact that aggro is able to win on turn 6. I think that's a reasonable time for aggro to win, because at the end of the day, if aggro had a very difficult time in the very early stages of this game. If you guys all remember this, I mean, you can remember that there was no aggro. Like, we kept throwing things at Norse to be like, oh, okay, yeah, this is going to be good. And, it took a very long time to get them to the point to where they're at. So I think leader health is fine. I think really what we're seeing is it's a leader health issue, perception-wise, but it's really just because, well, one, Web of Weird exacerbates the issue, as well as 20-card decks. I think both those issues will be solved in the next patch.
Okay. Nuka DeLuca, and he asked a couple questions. There was a couple I didn't pull, but what kind of atmosphere is high-res during the development, during the different phases, of integration, planning, development, testing, production, bugs, et cetera, et cetera? That's more of like a high-res question than a tactics question, but I think you're a good person to answer this.
Yeah, it kind of depends.
I hate everyone. Just kidding.
It kind of depends on the different phases. So, like when we take Smite Tactics, for example. So Smite Tactics works a little bit differently than the other games. So we'll kind of go with Smite Tactics. So we, on the design team, normally are working 3 or 4 patches ahead. So we're locking designs around 6 weeks before they're actually due. So then we can monitor everything inside of the day-to-day. And focus on the patch that's at hand. Now, the big reason why we want to do that is because, they come all in cycles, and different departments work faster than other ones, right? Programming is very much inside of the sprint, whereas someone like animation, for example, has already started on CV6 items.
Yes.
And units. So we're really we have to do that to accommodate for everyone. Now, what the atmosphere is like, on Smite Tactics, everyone's just generally happy and wondering what's the next thing to do. In early development, things can get a little crazy, especially in high res, right? You never actually know what could actually happen, right? Like last patch, we changed the entire game. Well, not changed the entire. We changed how mechanics worked.
We changed a big portion.
So I think the best word to describe the high res development, it's exciting. Every day is something new. And Adonis can't answer that because before we did the patch notes, he was like, "Hey Scott, you don't tell me any of these things. How am I supposed to do it?" And I'm like, "Dude, you got to keep up." You remember this?
Yes, I do. Hey, Scott, I have no access to anything. What's going on? I don't know. Figure it out. Okay, Scott, I'll figure it out. Another one from Nuka DeLuca. How's the development team dealing with UE4 as opposed to what happened in the past with UE3? So yeah, we're the only project on UE4 for high res. So it was kind of a lot of exploring, I think, for some of our developers as well.
Yeah, it was kind of like Christmas when we moved over to Unreal 4, just because, how things were done in Unreal 3 to Unreal 4 is night and day. And the big thing here is that Unreal 4 gives us, on the design team, a lot.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, it gives us a lot more control. So instead of, so Eric Tobis is our lead programmer on the team. He's a god. Instead of him having to do everything, he's able to just expose certain nodes to me, and then I'm able to hook them up and make the characters come to life myself.
You can now develop.
Yeah, and that says something.
That's scary.
I'm like a caveman.
You're kind of grown out of that shell a little bit.
I mean, look at my face. I'm like a Cro-Magnon.
Better than me.
But it's okay.
And then the final one from Nuka DeLuca, and this is the last we have listed. I have a couple other questions, and we'll start taking some questions from chat. What was it like making the decision to overhaul the game mechanics the way you did? How did you think the public would react? And that's a pretty good question, too.
Okay. So normally, I'm always Mr. Optimistic. I'm always the optimistic guy. I come in there. I'm very, very passionate about SMITE Tactics. I'm very passionate about every single thing that I do as a whole. I always believe if you put anything into it, you got to put all of it into it. That's how my dad raised me. That's how I still am to this day. So now, with that said, for this change, the day of the patch, right before we went on the Patch Notes show, I went around and I asked various different people inside of the development team. I said, okay, give me your percentage of how many people will like this, and then also give me your percentage that everything goes out flawlessly. Just because there were so many changes, right? And in software, it can get kind of dicey, I guess is a...
You never know how people will react.
But yeah, so regardless, everyone else on the team was, saying like, oh, it's playing pretty good. I think it's going to be okay. I expect there'll be a small subset of people to not like this patch. And in my head, and actually verbally, I was like, I think everyone's going to hate this. I said, I really don't know how people are going to respond to this. I'm very, very scared. I was super nervous about all of the changes. And the main thing is that I didn't want you guys to just think that, well, here comes this random change that came out of left field that we just decided to do. When we did put a lot of time and thought into it. Now, I do have a lot of confidence. I do think it is actually the better design, but when it was coming time to do it, I got a little cold feet there, and I was like, man, it's either going to be a public execution or this is going to go over well, and luckily it went over well.
All right, so we have... hold on, I'm just trying to touch you. Okay. There we go. So we have a couple of spare questions, but we can start taking some questions from chat now, and we'll kind of interlace these in throughout. So if you guys want to just start dropping your questions, we'll scroll up and answer everything that we can.
Cool.
So just to start off for now, while people wait for the delay,
Oh, I like that one.
what other Pantheons can we expect, and how many do you want? Do you have like an end goal for it? Because we have, a number in SMITE, and obviously there's other Pantheons that SMITE hasn't even explored.
Yeah, I think obviously we'll try to get in parity with SMITE. I think that's the main goal. But next Pantheons that you can expect, excuse me. I think Mayan probably makes the most sense to start working on.
I think thematically Mayan's really fun.
I think so too, and I think the main thing with Mayan is that obviously there's a mechanic inside of SMITE Tactics that we have yet to explore, which is one that I think would be really, really fun for them, just because when base it off of Apocalypto, right, the movie. But sacrificing and getting strength from those kind of things. Now, obviously, death mechanic is something that Egypt has. Now, Egypt, and you're going to start to see this change as we start kind of bringing it back and forth. But we're going to revisit Egypt to give them more of a thematic theme, just because they don't have one, right? I mean, they do. They're kind of like this control spell oriented, but they don't have any minions. And in the next patch, they're getting minions. But they are all about bringing units back to life, whereas Mayan is going to be gaining power from units that have died, which is something that's always been inside of them.
So we have, so Egypt has appeasement and the
sacrifice.
Sacrifice. So they do have and they have a couple of those mechanics.
They do.
Are you trying to repurpose those for Mayan and revisit those cards in the Egypt Pantheon, or leaving them and allowing Egypt to have those options as well?
We're going to leave them in there. It's really going to just be giving Egypt more... Make it more for them to make more sense.
Okay.
Right. So like when you think about cards like Afterlife, right? Like I teased one the other day on Saturday when I came in and worked. That's an Egyptian card. So obviously you would sacrifice to then get the benefit of it and then get the card that comes out. I think that's going to make sense. But I think the big thing with Mayan for me when I look ahead, and I've done a little bit of research on it. Austin actually kind of drove the boat on it for the most part, but kind of like when adjacent units die, this thing gains power, or whenever you kill a unit, it gains power. Something along that line, I think, would be pretty fun in our game.
Okay, I'm going to start taking questions from chat, but I have a good question just because I liked kind of his answer here. Where are we at?
His answer?
Your answer. Okay. So how much research do you do into lore, and how much does that go into your decision making?
So it was really funny because I used to always give Scott Zier crap about this on SMITE. He used to always try to make things very, very themed and heavily invested inside of the lore with each of his guys. And I was like, dude, just make something cool, man. Just throw that out. And then as soon as I got into SMITE Tactics, I really started paying way more attention to the lore than I thought. So, you were in the Roman meeting.
Yes.
Inside of the Roman meeting, I think I basically wrote on my own, I basically did like a 12-page paper going back on every single thing on gladiators and to every single thing about the Roman army as a whole, back in the glory of Rome. And then I kind of took that, I presented a condensed version of that to the entire team on SMITE Tactics, and then we brainstormed various ideas. So yeah, I would say that we use a lot of research to kind of drive everything. And also, it just helps, right?
Yeah.
I mean, some things just make sense to do it that way.
And it also makes sense for, a player, right? Because they're like, they have everyone has been to school. Well, hopefully everyone's completed,
some sort of school.
Some sort of schooling, and they've probably learned about the Roman Empire. They're going to make those connections into the game immediately when they see, I'm not going to spoil anything. That's up to you because you'll yell at me. But they'll see things that they're going to like,
that makes sense.
This makes so much sense.
But the other thing, too, that you got to kind of look at is really, even if they don't have an understanding of it, if we can convey how they were, that means that I did my job right. And I think that's the most important thing to me, is making sure that I capture the spirit of them.
All right. Well, let's take some questions here real quick. Scroll up. What do you do, Scott?
Why am I scrolled up?
Because I had it set so we could go through all the questions. Scroll up a little bit more. Okay, yeah, let's start
This
it.
is it.
Will we be able to play SMITE Tactics in the real SMITE?
No.
No. Okay. Thinking on introducing any achievement system linked to favor/packs as rewards?
I am working on achievements. I've got my first pass of achievements done inside of that. But I think right now we're we got a loose idea of how we want to handle rewards with achievements. Mostly we haven't decided on any of that, though.
Okay, and then this next question is good because I had this as a question anyway. How do you feel about guard mechanics? So I think more discuss guard versus taunt. That's what we should talk about.
Okay. I think overall, I personally like playing against guard more than I like playing against taunt. And I think that was kind of the decision behind it all. I think taunt also hit a lot of the issues that we had, right? I think the Loki one-turn kill, even though we buffed him by 1 power, and that was just really to bring him in line with everything else. I think when you looked at going against Loki's, right, if you were player 1 and you were playing as Greek, you dropped the Athena, and then Loki also can't do his thing. He can't get away with it. So I think it hit a lot of our issues, which is why we're seeing the Loki one-turn kill be as big as it is right now. But what I like about guard is that it changes the way you play the game. And in addition to that, it also kind of gives you different options for different cards, right? Like, Blink was really good. Blink has always been good, but now it's like, oh, God, he's running guard. Got to run Blink, right? And there wasn't a lot of Norse decks that actually ran Blink before. I mean, there was a couple, right? But for the most part, in like competitive play, I never saw it.
And now they're doing it because of the Loki thing.
Exactly.
But
it still changed how you played the game, which is good. So I think guard is solid. I'm really glad that we made it so that guard didn't work in stealth. That was actually a thing inside of development. You can thank Adonis for that one.
It worked in stealth before. I made sure to tell Scott that was not going to be fun.
Yeah, it wasn't.
But we got it in.
It was
we got it in. Couple play tests.
Nope.
No. McFluffish, can you guys talk about rewards for leveling up? I think the thing for rewards right now is that we have base ideas.
This is for leader levels. So.
Is this leader levels?
Okay. Yeah. So inside of the next patch, we are going to be giving you favor, and we're going to mess around with the favor numbers. I want to be very, very careful with this. So big things here. So every single time you level up your leader, you're going to get favor. Whatever level you are currently, you are going to be retroactively rewarded all of that favor. So those are two really, really big things. Now, the important thing here is that right now, I think, I understand the complaints that a lot of people are having when they say that after I complete my quests, I don't really have a reason to continue to play, right? And I understand that. That is a valid concern, and I feel it myself when I play. Now, the leader level is something that is going to entice people to continue to play because they're still able to grind out that favor. Now, it'll probably take us 1 or 2 patches to really figure out where that number needs to be. So I want you guys to all bear with me as we try to figure that out. But yeah, you can expect it in the next patch.
Deathwalker's question is kind of the same as Pecky's. Do you have a plan for new god when all gods from SMITE will be on Tactics? And Pecky's is, any chance that a god not in SMITE will make its way to Tactics? Inyo, Ray. It's Inyo. She's already in the game.
Yeah. I would love to spoil this, but I can't. I will get killed. So we're not gonna. We're gonna skip over this one.
And Scott's very loose about spoilers.
I am very,
too.
very
so
loose.
Can't say anything. If you were to add skins, wouldn't it be the whole Inyo Bologna thing would get confusing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we keep the Imperial?
We can readdress that
to take out Loki's. Okay. So for those of you guys complaining about Loki, there is a specific card. Actually, there's 2 cards.
Are you gonna encourage? What are you about to say?
There's one card coming in the next. I'm only going to spoil one.
Okay.
There's one card coming in the next patch that is an item card that deals, I think it's either 3 or 4 damage. I forget which one it is. We're still in development.
Do you want me to
on
tell you
it.
the one you told me? It was 4. You told me.
Oh yeah. Okay, so it deals 4 damage to a unit that you don't need to have line of sight on. That's the database flag for us. Basically, what that means is that you can target units who are stealth or ambushed with this card.
You target a tile, basically.
You basically target a tile. You hit a target area. And that is going to be a neutral card. So everyone, no matter the Pantheon, will have access to this card, and you'll have another way to deal with a Loki or a unit hiding in stealth grass or anything along those lines.
For the people on the next questions that are asking about other platforms, Scott answered that earlier.
Yep.
We're developing it for PC with console in mind, and that's first. And then other platforms can be explored after that.
Rastafarian Pantheon would be sweet.
Can we expect esports competitive features like spectating?
Spectating is something that I know Platform Team has been working on just a little bit. It's definitely in the foreseeable future.
On the radar. No, I don't want to say that. It's and we want to get it in, but obviously things come up in the development process and it can get pushed to the side because the person working on it is one of the best we have. So if there's other critical issues or other important things that have to get done, he's got to put effort into that. But we do want spectating and replay, and hopefully within the next couple patches we will have that working. But it's all on the to-do list.
Yeah. Isn't game too aggro because of the small board size? No, it's not. But the second part of the question is, any chance to change the board size? It's something that we've discussed. I don't think, for the most part, we kind of just work inside of a 5x9 grid because it feels the best. If there is something that ever caught my eye, let's say hypothetically, let's say we wanted to do the 9th layer of hell for Mayan. And it was a circle map. Yeah, we would make it a circle. If there was a strong design reason to actually do it, we would do it. Right now, we haven't had a reason to actually change the size of the board, though.
Okay. Any plans for making SMITE tactics and real SMITE? We already answered that. As a person with no computer who can... No.
There's no more clutter.
That's not really a question.
That's not a question.
I'm just trying to look. Guard versus taunt fight. Okay. Are you happy with the ranked system, or are there plans to change it? This was addressed earlier. This was basically ranked as it is now is a first pass. It's more we have ranked in game. Obviously, we're still in closed beta, so I know there's a lot of players that complain about having, going against someone that's significantly lower MMR than them and tanking a lot. That's kind of an unfortunate, side or an unfortunate issue when it comes to being in a closed beta system with a small player pool. But, as we go further, we do plan to address ranked and make sure it feels good for everyone.
This is a good one. What is my first priority right now in the making of SMITE tactics? So right now, the big focus that we're looking at is, obviously, we always have to worry about new units and more content. That's something that is always going to be on our shoulders. But right now, for me, the main 2 things I'm focusing on is player progression and how it feels to actually rank up inside of the game. I want to make sure that everyone's getting correct favor amounts, everyone's grind is good, everyone feels rewarded when they play. I think that's all very, very important, and it's something that I'll always stay focused on. It's something that keeps me up actually every single night as I brainstorm various different ways. The next thing is the new player experience, right? So, obviously we did 3 patches back to back. We introduced 1 tutorial, we changed it, and then we changed it again with the game. It's something that the new player experience is very, very important, and it's something that I want to make sure that everyone comes in and it's very seamless. So those are my two priorities with the addition of design.
Okay. Who is better at life, Austin or Adonis? That would be me. Thank you very much, Peckies.
Okay.
Any chance we have a no? Wonder if gods will appear in my tactics. Already answered.
It's not so bad. What?
I feel like we should switch sides so I can read through questions as you answer them.
Yeah, you probably
do
should,
that.
but no. Come on.
Come on, man. It's not
Move.
bad. Okay. Is the game out? The game is currently in closed beta. We do numerous giveaways on the Tactics Twitter. I'll go release a couple hundred codes after this, so just be prepared for them. I'll tweet them out from @SMITE Tactics. Also, just because I'm just going to advertise this, might as well. If you haven't played SMITE Tactics, or once you get a beta key, you can actually unlock 3 free packs for following us on social, and that's on the SMITE Tactics
Oh, yeah,
page.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, you just hit the community
I need to do that.
tab on the side, and if you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, you can get 1 pack for each. So free packs just to get you started. You get
That's a very good.
a ton of packs from
Yep.
like we give a good amount of packs. You can get like 10 packs very easily just by doing tutorials, campaigns, like spending that favor because we
Let's see.
give you a ton.
You get 1 pack in the tutorial. You get
300
3 packs. So that's inside the campaigns. That's 4, and then you get 3 from social.
Yeah,
So,
so
yeah.
there's a good amount.
Yeah, you get a pretty decent amount.
Thoughts on making Minion Recruiter summon a minion from the opponent's deck and make it a 3/3 instead of the entire body?
Minion Recruiter is something we're going to be looking to address. Really, the main issue that I have with Minion Recruiter is that there's no mana cap on it, so it's nothing but a win with just some slight downside. I think once we associate a cost with it, where it basically says pull a minion from your opponent's deck that costs
X.
6 or 5 or less, whatever it is, I think that the card will feel better.
Would love a fun PvE mode where you fight the heroes of paladins, but I think I'm just gonna PvE. Is this something I'm gonna mention more?
PvE is something that we've looked at. I think if the tutorial is any indication of where the future of SMITE Tactics will go in the sense of PvE, my dream is that it's a story mode, and my dream is also that it's a multiplayer story mode, so you can play with some friends versus other people. Now, I have no idea how that would work.
You didn't even tell me that yet.
Yeah, no, I'm saying this is my dream.
I'm
man.
like learning
Yeah.
stuff as we do this. Will you implement ults in SMITE Tactics somehow?
I don't know.
I already know. I think just you want to play last version of SMITE Tactics where you pressed your abilities.
Oh, no.
No.
I think he's talking about things like Al Kwong's Dragon or using different leaders' ultimates or something along those. Basically, just reimagining their ultimate as item cards.
I mean, we
it's
have
not
that,
off the table.
Like we have that with Medusa already. Like
Yeah.
she damages and she turns an enemy unit into
Absolutely.
stone. It does the full animation. So there are ults
Yeah.
in Tactics already.
I think you could expect to see some cards that come in and bring out an ultimate from another god. I think that's safe to say.
Will there be options to monitor/track progress and games, i.e., win rate with deck A or highest win streak, etc.?
Are you guys talking about for you guys on your side?
Yeah, I think like a player profile that SMITE has, where you go, oh, here's my past games. Oh, I have a win rate with my I created this deck. I've made no changes. It's 8-1 on ladder.
No, I think that's a good idea. There's nothing been designed yet about that, but no, I think it's a good idea.
Not the focus, but possibility. That was a good question. I like that one.
Yeah, that was a really good question. I actually need to write that down.
Thought about a 4-drop Greek card with more than 1 attack other than Thanatos? I think that's that's just like we're making more content.
Yeah.
I've seen 80 people ask about Minion Recruiter.
I know. It's one of those cards that people just feel really bad when they draw a Fire Giant, but when they draw a Minion Recruiter or when they draw like a Curse Hunter, you're not.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, whatever.
Like,
That's expected.
All right. It looks like we have a couple good questions here in order. Will we have new card packs soon?
New card packs, as in like a new.
I'm assuming
outside of the core
I'm
pack.
assuming that's what he meant. That's what I'm assuming.
Not anytime soon. No.
Okay. Will we have events like SMITE does, like regular SMITE?
You know, we were loosely planning an event around spring this year, and then when we thought about it, you know, really what the primary focus right now of SMITE Tactics is get you guys as much content as we can because we need to make up for all the units and items that we're just kind of lacking right now. So we kind of punted on it. But yeah, obviously. I did a lot of the events on SMITE, season ticket, Viking Invasion, Underworld event.
You pioneered some of the first events that Hi-Rez ever did. Some of the major ones.
Yeah. The very first loose idea of the PvE. I spat out there, and then Travis made it way better than what I originally had.
Travis is God too.
Yeah,
man.
Travis.
We got a lot of good people.
So yeah, you can expect events.
In the near future, adding a leaderboard for top 250 or 100 in game.
Sure.
Okay.
I don't see why not. I like leaderboards. I love leaderboards.
When will the skin cards be released? We answered that earlier. You can watch the VOD back. Can we add a desktop icon? You know, sometimes it's just like the white sheet.
No, there should be one.
Sometimes I get it. I've installed it differently. Sometimes I'll get the white sheet one.
Have you reported this?
Yes. Ish.
There should be one. Yes.
I think I made a Jira.
Jesus. There should be one. If you guys are not having one, that's a bug. God.
Don't play. Come on. I thought this was known, to be honest.
I did not know. No, there's supposed to be one.
I asked someone, and I was like, hey, do we know that this doesn't always give us an icon? And they're like, yeah. It was like a secondhand comment 4 weeks ago when I first joined the team. I'm like, okay. No. And that was the end of it.
No,
I didn't know what I was, I was trying
supposed to be one.
I was trying to bridge into the team. I'm not trying to overstep. I was like, hey, is this known? They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay. That was the end of it.
Yes, there's supposed to be one.
Will there be options to monitor track? Yeah. Any plans for the Roman Pantheon or only the Greek version of the Roman gods we featured in game? We've kind of already mentioned this.
Yep, Roman Pantheon coming out soon.
What are your opinions on Minion Recruiter?
This Minion Recruiter, I think the card is okay. We just need to associate a cost with it, so it has a downside.
Okay, 2v2 mode on bigger map. I've never played, so I don't know if it's already in game. It is not in game, but 2v2. This is actually a better question. Other game modes.
So right now, we don't really want to add multiple queues inside of there.
That's
right?
Fair.
We're still very early on. We want to keep our player base inside of 1 or 2 queues. But yeah, I think we were loosely floating around an idea of a 2v2, and we messed around with the paper prototype on it, but we didn't really like what we were seeing. So it's something that I would love to do because I think it would be really, really fun. The key with the 2v2, and if you guys have any ideas or suggestions on this, by all means, tweet them to me. Let me know what you guys think. But the key is to make sure that it doesn't feel like micromanaging. I don't know if you guys have ever played a turn-based strategy game when it is 2v2, but when you take the turns at the same time, you get those people who are like, hey, you need to do this, and then I'll do that, and then, no, you got to put him here. Yeah, you put him right here. And then it's normally just, it ends up being like a 1v1 just with 2 dominant people talking back and forth. So we want to make sure it's not that, but it is 2v2. So it's kind of tricky.
Any plans for more keyword ideas like slows, movement, etc.?
That's always on the table.
Is there any plans for more classes or categories like beasts? Because we did just separate beasts and minions.
Yep. So right now we're going to be adding more units inside of the beast category. And then as we look ahead, whenever things make sense to make a category, we'll do it.
How do I fix the error where I can't start the game? Yeah, if you have any technical issues, just post on our forums and we'll answer them. Or tweet at Twitter, and I do that sometimes if it's not spam.
That guy wants me to be a stepfather. Pi3232.
I'm telling you, man. I
will
will
be
in your
stepfather.
dad outfit.
I will be your stepfather.
Will there be a sandbox mode?
Sandbox mode. He is talking about
like jungle practice and SMITE. I'm assuming anywhere that you could test things. That's what I'm assuming he means. Like a test map where you can experiment with combos.
Well, there's a couple of different ways you can do a sandbox mode. There's that way. There's also the ones where it allows the user to create maps.
Oh, okay.
And different layouts. I think for me personally, I would really love to give the community just like a map editor that they're able to go in there and place the maps how they want and give them all the environment. I have that's something way long term, but that's something that I think would be really awesome because, obviously some of the best ideas always come from the community, and I think letting them have their hands on a map builder would be something pretty sweet.
We already addressed this question, but I think we can address it again. Gold cards or skin cards that are worth more dust than regular cards?
Why are we blurry?
It's just the webcam.
Oh, it's got autofocus?
Yeah.
Bad.
Gold cards or skin cards?
Skin cards will most likely be the case. But don't quote me on that. don't even take that snippet of this video.
Any chance we get some of the card art borders, such as Egyptian or Norse leaders, used as SMITE loading frames? I think that goes into there's no immediate
Crossover
plans,
events, yep.
but it's definitely in the realm of possible.
For sure.
For sure. Top ranked players, already answered that.
Yep.
Stage for next spot on the stage for HRX. I mean, we're gonna be at HRX.
I'll be at
It's
HRX.
High Res Expo. We're gonna have something with tactics along with all of our products there. Fact.
Yeah.
Is there heal carts in game, or do you think about adding heal carts? We have meditation now, but more mechanics around healing.
We have meditation, we have Chang'e, and we have Ra. Yeah, we need a lot more cards that do healing, whether it's passively or directly or over time. There's a lot of room for us to add the cards, and we plan on doing so.
Are we gonna have a wipe?
Wipe.
I think like account and everything wipe after closed beta.
Hi-Res doesn't do wipes,
Yeah,
not to my knowledge.
We've never. I don't think we've ever done
I'm
a
pretty
wipe.
sure you guys are fine.
Yeah.
99% positive.
I will.
If we were-
I will
yeah.
yell at people if they try and wipe accounts because I don't want my account wiped either. Don't worry.
No, I don't think, have we ever done a wipe?
Like I played super beta Smite and nothing was ever wiped.
Yeah, we don't do wipes.
I don't like wipes.
I would say I am 99% sure that we do not do wipes. In the 1% off chance
I will
that
fight.
somehow it happens, we would obviously overcompensate you guys for it because it just seems silly to me.
Will you consider reworking, nerfing, removing cards that rely too much on like RNG cards, right? What's your stance on them? I guess
I
is
think
the
they're
better
perfectly
question.
fine. There's a high upside. See, the problem with the RNG cards that a lot of people have, it's like red lights, right? You always remember the time that you hit every red light on the way to work, but you don't remember the times that you go through every green. You always focus, you hyper focus on the negative, and you never actually give room to the positive. Like Imperial Archer is like my favorite card in the game, period, because there's so many times where I'm like, yes,
I hit the one I needed.
or I'm like, damn it, right? I mean, it's the high upside, and it's all about capturing that emotion. So I think, obviously, the ones that need to be toned down, like Minion Recruiter, right? That card's just, it just needs to be balanced, right? It needs to have a cost associated with it. So you can only pull from a subset of that. So you feel like you're able to add a Fire Giant or a Kang or a Gold Fury or any of these cards inside of your deck. If you feel like you can't, then you're restricted, and that's bad. So as long as there is a drawback to it, it's normally fine.
Okay. Is the campaign mode supposed to follow the SMITE comics?
The campaign mode might. Next question.
Will you actively try to support esports, or
Always.
will you let it try to handle itself?
Always.
You have to think like,
forever.
it's you and me too,
Yeah.
right? Like
It's, yeah.
we love esports.
Yeah. Season ticket. Yeah. Absolutely. Every single way possible, I will support esports. Very loosely on, I was talking about an idea of getting some sort of a. I was a one-off comment to Zier, but I think in the future I would love to try to do something like a season ticket equivalent inside of SMITE Tactics.
Okay.
It's always good. I love esports. I love everything about it.
For those who don't know, too, even though we don't have a spectator, shout outs to SMITE Tactics
For
Realm, who have been running a tournament that all I do is kind of hang out and update the brackets on. It's really the work that they do. So thank you so much, Kenny and Jay,
you guys are awesome.
Nuka, all the casters, Jag as well, who has helped cast. So those are kind of like community tournaments that we're kind of just running to keep going, and a lot of it's more about getting the feel of tactics, getting some of the players acclimated to an esports system, ecosystem, and so we're going to continue running these community tournaments for fun right now, and I think they're going pretty well. Everyone seems pretty happy with them.
And don't think we're ignoring you when it comes to spectator mode. It's just,
I would love trust
we
me.
got to get everything in.
Trust me.
And then we'll figure it out. We'll get it in there.
I know it's out of concept, but I would love to see co-op custom campaigns.
Yeah, I was talking about
campaigns.
that earlier.
Yeah,
I was talking about that earlier.
Are you going to be Are you going to seasons in season rewards? So like I'm assuming this is more like ranked ladder, right? Where it's like a season.
I love the idea of seasons. I've always loved it. I'm glad SMITE actually went. Well, SMITE's following the esports, the SPL splits. I want to follow the traditional seasons.
Okay.
So we actually haven't discussed rewards yet for ranked. It's probably just because we're in close beta. Yeah, there's going to be some rewards for ranked, I imagine.
Will there be some kind of reward if you log into the game every day, just like Smite already is?
Yeah, there already
Login
is.
bonus.
Yeah.
Would there be like a mode where it's 2v1 against a boss AI or on a larger scaled map? So
Something to that extent.
campaign stories. We've kind of touched on it. Like, there's a lot of experimenting that you want to do, I know.
Yep.
But that's all for the future, not in the immediate.
It's all once I feel like we have enough units and cards inside of the game, then we can really
The content feels like
once the
plentiful.
content is there, then I think we can start exploring all the other options.
There is VSync already in the game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. VSync's already in the game. Person who asked that.
Confirm Kevin doesn't wipe. That's weird.
What? I wipe.
That's what he said.
I don't know how you would know. Had cards like you have experience on cards. Oh yeah. So there's experience on cards like Gods and Minions. There's also Leader XP, but is there a bonus for the others? I mean, why don't you just talk about the card experience? No plans for that yet? Like regular
No,
cards?
I think everyone's kind of just assumed that the card XP will end up being either skin cards or like a holographic version of the card. I think that's what you can expect.
Okay. Could we see you playing a
Fantasy points? I wish. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, more time with
Yeah.
Smite. We already talked about other platforms. Thought about any other pay options other than directly buying packs? I'm assuming that's like more content to purchase he's asking about?
Thought about any other pay options.
Other than directly buying packs.
I don't know what that. I don't get that question. Yeah.
But other options for purchasables outside of cards.
Oh yeah,
we have
absolutely.
that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll be coming.
Okay.
This guy wants a date with Tina. You do not want a date with Tina. And plus, she's married.
That too. That's like the second part to it.
Yeah.
What about the game? Blah, blah, blah. Is Alquang supposed to be able to be spawned with
Yes.
Evolve? Yes.
But
no.
That's a bug.
I'll
Phone me.
Live development, guys.
Damn it.
Forgot to take that one out of the pool, didn't you? You're like, yeah. Oh no.
That is. I am blaming Austin.
That's fine. He's not here.
Damn it.
A lot of these are repeated questions. I think we're getting down to the end of this. It's also been an hour, guys.
Yep. I'm pretty much. I'm good to rock.
You add gods that aren't from Smite or haven't been released in Smite. We already kind of
Yeah.
touched on that.
I think we're good.
Are you just leaving?
We can. Yeah.
Just like
We're
end it
good.
now? I'm just trying to see if there's any more good questions. It's mostly the
I got
same
work
stuff.
to do.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for fighting with us through the beginning of this closed beta game, closed beta stream. This was kind of fun.
Yeah, we can do it. We can do more
We'll
often.
probably do this a little bit more often. Maybe we'll get some more unique questions, but hopefully this gave you guys some good insight onto, Scott's brain and the current atmosphere of Smite Tactics and all the potential stuff that we are looking at and want to address. Obviously, our priority right now is kind of getting content and getting the game out to as many people as possible. Again, I want to thank all the people that are in the community Discord. They've been phenomenal. I've loved working with them. You know, they've been giving active feedback both on balance and gameplay. So I appreciate all you guys. Thanks so much for watching, and that's going to be it for me and Scott. Much love, and we'll see you next time.